So Dr. Mutoko is a dynamic and entertaining international inspirational speaker. He's also keynote speaker, executive coach, certified eSpeaker, and online facilitator. He's also an author and Pan-African business consultant for almost 2 decades. So Dr. Mutoko has been extremely active. And you will have a chance to ask him questions in these areas at the end. And tonight we will talk about the 7 R's of change management. And regarding this topic, we would like to mention that Dr. Mutoko has empowered over 1,000 CEOs, directors, and managers to discover their strengths, sharpen their presentation skills, build self-confidence and emotional intelligence, and harness capabilities to build winning teams so they could become peak performance leaders with increased profitability. Over the years, Dr. Mutoko has spoken for and consulted for large enterprises, including Lucara Botswana, the British Council, ABSA, BMMB, the Mapleton Group, UNISA, Strathmore University, Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa, University of Botswana, various government ministries, and various churches. He has impacted firms and leaders in Dubai, Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. Dr. Mutoko currently serves as a director for Success Training Africa, a firm that specializes in leadership consultancy, executive coaching, and business consultancy. Furthermore, he is the virtual chapter leadership team leader for the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa. He holds an MBA and PhD in business management. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn off our phones, television sets, and everything else that might disturb us from enjoying this interview tonight. Grab your pens and notebooks and let us welcome Dr. Wilbert Mutoko in the studio. Welcome, Dr. Mutoko. So happy to have you tonight.
Hi, Vesna. Thank you so much for that introduction, and I'm so glad that you are having me tonight. I really appreciate coming here and talking with you concerning change management.
Excellent, Dr. Mutoko. So would you please tell our audience what is change management?
All right. So for me, the first thing that I want to ask people is, first of all, why is it that 50% of marriages end up in divorce? Why is it that 50% of new employees end up failing? Why is it that 50 to 70% of new executives fail within the first 18 months? Why is it that 50 to 80% of projects fail to achieve the expected goals? Change is inevitable. The thing that is most constant on earth is change. And every human being must be willing to change. Either you initiate change, or you adapt to change, or you go under. Whether you are an individual or you are an organization, it's important for you to realize that if you do not accept change, life will be difficult, business will be difficult. So change, when we talk of change, we are talking of doing something different or hiring different people. Anything that you do that is unique, that is different from the usual things that you normally do, that's change. And what we are saying is we all need change. The challenge that we have is that change is not interesting. There are a number of aspects that are linked to change. For example, number one, change comes with chaos. Change comes with suspicion. Change comes with fear. Change is not desired by most people. I think almost all of us do not like change. If we were to say right now, Vesna, that we are changing the mode of communication, we say to people we are going to be on YouTube Live. Those of the people who want to join us, they can join us on Zoom, or they can join us on YouTube. Imagine if right now we say, oh, guys, in the next 5 minutes, we'll be on Microsoft Teams or on Google Meet. All right, we'll send you a link quickly. You will see how some people will be very uncomfortable. We always want to be in our comfort zone. So change is a subject that is very, very crucial if any person or any organization wants to make it.
Excellent, Dr. Mutoko. So what are you saying basically is that what we have to face in time of change management is basically the human potential in our organizations.
Yes, awesome. Because remember, when we talk of management, we are talking of planning, controlling, organizing, and leading people so that you can achieve the expected objectives.
Okay,
so
great.
Change will always happen, but change has to be managed. If you do not manage change, then you will be frustrated. If you do not manage change, then it's not going to happen as expected, and it will frustrate everyone.
Okay, that's great. So what would be some examples right now, let's say, where change management would be needed in a company that maybe doesn't realize that it needs change management?
Thank you so much. That's a very interesting question. Examples of change. Let me start by saying, in an organization, you can have different subsystems, all right? So you can have equipment or machinery. That's your number one. Number two, you have the people or human capital.
Yes.
Number three, you have technology. And what we are saying is that if you take your equipment to be more important than everything, yes, you buy your equipment and you set it up, but you take people for granted and you take technology for granted. The question is, who is going to run that equipment? Who is going to set up that equipment to work well? You need the people. So all the three subsystems must work. They must be synthesized. They must be integrated if you are going to succeed in any change that you want to bring in your organization. I thought I should just mention that. It's important because what I have seen is that many organizations, particularly when you are in a crisis, the executives expect their teams to just get deployed and they get going and things are happening. But you have not trained the people, which means you have not equipped the team. And you are expecting them to do magic. You are expecting them to do miracles. It doesn't work like that. Yes, you have equipment, you have the people, you have technology. Even when you deploy new technology, you have to engage with the people. You have to educate the people on how to use that technology so that these three can work together for the success of your change management. In other words, if you don't make those three work together, change management is not going to work. Now, to answer your question, examples of change management, let's take it from a personal level, right? If I am moving from one city to another city, there is need for change, and there is need for me to manage the change. In fact, city to city is even too far. If I'm staying in a certain location and I'm moving from the house where I stay and I'm moving to another house, that's a change. I need to make sure that I follow a process of change management to reduce risk. I need to minimize risk. So I need to sit down and say, okay, as I move from this house to the next house, what are some of the challenges that are likely to take place? How am I going to deal with them? All right? Maybe you are a girl or you are a boy and you are considering marriage. You need to understand. That's why initially I looked at some statistics where I was saying, why is it that 50% of marriages end up in divorce? It means that there could be someone, I'm not saying that's the only reason. There is a possibility somebody decided to get married, but they did not do their research thoroughly. They didn't do their reflection thoroughly. They didn't know what to expect. Do you know that somebody can actually say, I'm leaving this marriage on the night, on their matrimonial night, to say, I'm leaving, I didn't know. Which means there is a change that needed to be managed. But some things were not put in place. So somebody's destiny is crashing. Whatever they desire to happen is crashing. So it could be marriage, it could be a married couple. When a baby is on the way, there is need for change management. It could be an employee working in a place and they are promoted. There is need for change management. There is change coming. Where you were, what you were doing before you were promoted, it's a different ballgame.
Okay.
For example, you might be a very good engineer and you produce amazing results all the time. But the time that you are now being, elevated to the position of supervisor or manager, we no longer judge you according to your personal performance. We are now judging the performance of the team that you lead. So you might be excellent and you're doing your job very well as an engineer, but now you have 10, 15 people under you. If those people under you are not performing, it means you are not performing. There is need for change management right there.
Okay.
Maybe you are moving from one employer to another employer. You need change management. Maybe you are introducing new software in your organization. You need change management. Maybe you are doing a new project different from all the other projects that you have done. You need change management. Maybe you are joining, you are going into a mega, or you are going into an acquisition. That's something that needs mega change management.
Okay.
Maybe you are selling your business or you are acquiring a business. Whatever it is that you are doing, it needs change management. Change must be managed. If you don't manage it, you will be in trouble.
So what you're saying, basically, if I gather this, when we're talking about the change management that you are talking about is basically a protocol, a set of steps that one should be implementing in order to smooth out or to lubricate the change from one state to another. So if we're talking organization, before you mentioned that we have machinery, we have people, and we have technology. And all these things between them have to be running smoothly. And as this machine is changing from one situation on the market to the another, we need to apply the principles of change management so this transition can happen smoothly. And the same principles will be also applying to me as a small business owner, or to you as a university professor, or a single mom, or a family that is going through some kind of change.
Awesome. I think you have put it very well. There is a word that you use there that I like, transition. It's a transition. So the transition must be managed well. It must be planned well. It must be controlled well. It must be organized well. It must be led well so that the objectives can be met. Actually, there is another example that I could put there because I'm an executive coach. I work with CEOs and I work with directors. I work with managers to help them for them to have personal growth, professional growth, and be able to build winning teams. And one of the things that is very interesting about executive coaching is that, do you realize that the world over, before the 1980s, coaching was taking place in organizations. Coaching had to be done by an inside person. And it was a bad thing to be said that you are going through coaching. Coaching was meant to fix a bad person. Today, people say, this one is my coach. This one is my coach. It's exciting to say, I have a coach. But during that time, before the 1980s, it was a shame to be going through coaching. You must be a problem executive. You must be a problem officer for you to end up being allocated someone to actually coach you. But fast forward from the 1980s to 2020, it's now something of value. When you say that I'm going through coaching, my coach is so and so, people see value in you. Executive coaching right now is used as one of the most important tools that can help someone from being an officer to grow into becoming an executive, to become a leader. And it also helps people who are in management positions to grow, to be able to enter into a director's office. And those who are in the director's office, they can be groomed through executive coaching for them to becoming the CEO. You get the point? So that's a transition as well. Sometimes organizations will just tell you, Vesna, you have been promoted. You are working very hard. We are happy with your work. Wilbert, you have been promoted. We are happy with the way you are working. So starting from next month, as the month begins, that's your office. That's where you will be seated. And you are now a manager, or you are now a director, or you are taking over as acting CEO. Okay, thank you very much. This is a change. Don't forget, who is going to be taking care of me? Because in today's world, you find that executive coaches actually come even from outside the organization. You hire an outside person who is an expert, who has experience, who has been helping other CEOs, other directors, other officers, and you bring them in and they add value. And what I've seen is many times organizations will start a project and they take some people. Obviously, they can be hardworking people, but you need to prepare them for this kind of project you want them to do. You don't just say, we believe in you. Prepare them. Otherwise, you frustrate them and you will frustrate the finances of the organization. Similarly, when you are promoting someone, you don't just take them into a certain office and then you expect them to do magic. You need to coach them. You need to assign them to a mentor, even if it's a mentor within the organization who has been doing these kinds of things. Then you assign them to such a person so that they can learn. There must be a support mechanism. In some cases, you actually need to take some people for training so that they are equipped to do what you are expecting them to do. But many times people don't do that.
So what you're saying is that executive coach in many ways is acting as a change manager.
Yes. He's helping.
Yeah, because when I was doing research for tonight, I found that the market for change management is actually growing exponentially. So companies are aware of the fact that you cannot just throw new technology at people or new ideas or new markets because they will resist change. Like you said, the only thing constant in the world is change, and this is what we fear the most. So the companies would hire probably people like yourself, Dr. Mutoko, to prepare the group that needs to go to transition from one phase to another and explain to them that the change is actually beneficial for them and it's not a punishment. Because a lot of times we say, what is this crazy company doing? They don't like us. They want to give us more work. We are already underpaid. They're putting more stuff on us. And when new things come, people naturally will resist. So right now we are in this huge world chaos of COVID-19. And I think your topic tonight just fits perfectly because the change is happening whether we like it or not. And whether we are, like you said, a family or a big corporation, we need to be aware of all these different aspects and how important it is to have people like yourself, coaches, to come and smooth out the process.
Thank you so much, Vesna. You have said it so well. You know, this is a topic which is at the bottom of my heart because I see many times how employees, how executives are frustrated because they are expected to do certain things, but they are not equipped. Like you correctly mentioned, right now because of COVID-19, many people are now working from home. Organizations say, yes, now we allow you to work from home. But how many companies have invested in training and retraining their employees so that they are ready? I mean, sometimes you can take your employees through maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or 1 day training. Is that enough for them now to begin to do what they have never done before?
And
have you seen, for example, many companies, when they bring in a new person as an employee, They will say, that is if they even do induction. They will say, we are inducting you. They will tell them so many things in one day, and it's over. This person is expected to start flying and doing their job very well. How on earth does that work? Serious organizations will take a week. They will take 2 weeks inducting a person and making sure they understand what they are doing. Proper training. Don't assume that people understand what you want to be done. That's why many projects fail. That's why many new executives, they fail within their first 18 months because they come with assumptions that this is how things are gonna be. But when they get there, they see that, hey, what I was thinking is not what I'm seeing. And do you know, research says that executives, 50 to 70% of new executives, they fail in the first 18 months. It doesn't matter whether it's an executive who was promoted within the organization or it's an executive who came from outside. It doesn't matter. The statistics stand. 50 to 70% of new executives, they fail in the first 18 months. That's how just tough it is. Every change must be managed thoughtfully and carefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So we now understand that we have to manage this change. Yes. Tonight we are here because we're really curious to know what are your 7 R's of change management. So how are we supposed to do this?
Right.
What is the best way to go ahead to apply this principle?
Perfect. Thank you so much. So the title of or the topic for tonight is the 7 R's of change management. And these have been mainly used in the ITIL, which is Information Technology Infrastructure Library. ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. All right? This has a framework that helps when delivering service in the IT industry. So you will find that many of the times when we talk of the 7 R's, you find many people who talk of ITIL. But this can actually be applied anywhere. Can be applied anywhere. So we have 7 keywords that start with an R. Number 1 is raised. Raised. Number 2 is reason. Number 2 is reason. Number 3 is return. So we'll look at them one by one, but for now I'm just going through them. Number 1, raised. Number 2, reason. Number 3, return. Number 4, risk. Number 5, resources. Number 6, responsible. Number 7, relationship. Those are the 7 R's. All right? So basically what we are saying is that for every change that you want to take place in your organization, before it takes place, you need to ask yourself some questions using those 7 R's. So number 1, we are saying, who raised the change? Who is raising the change? Who is saying we must change something? It's important to look at that. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then number 2, we are saying, what is the reason for the change? Many times people just bring change, but without us knowing who raised the change. Number 2, what is the reason? Why are we raising the change? Okay? Number 3, we are also saying, what is the return?
Okay, return. Okay.
What are we going to benefit after we make this change? Mm-hmm. It can be in financial terms most of the time. It can also be in non-financial terms. What is the return? That's number 3. Number 4, what are the risks? What are the dangers? Can I say this? Every change has some risks. What are the risks? What could go wrong as we try to bring up this change? Number 5, what resources do we need for us to carry out this change? What resources do we need? And of course, number 6, who is responsible to make sure this change is done? Who is responsible? And finally, number 7, we are also saying, what is the relationship between this particular change and other changes that took place in the past? So it brings in a bit of reflection. There are other questions that go beyond the 7 R's. For example, you can say, what is the cost? What is the cost of this change? What is the likely impact of this change? There are many other things that you can think of, other questions that you can bring up. But generally, these are the 7 R's of change management.
I have a question.
Yes.
So to me, would these 7 R's be discussed on the executive level or through all the levels of the organization?
Now, it depends on what change we are bringing in. I will give you a simple example. So one time, a CEO approached me and said, Wilbert, we have a problem. I said, what is the problem? And she says to me, one of my departments, there's a lot of fighting there. So I want you to come in, Wilbert, and do some conflict resolution. I want you to come and solve the problems because I have tried to talk to the supervisor, I've tried to talk to the team, but nothing is getting better. So I want an outsider. And I know that you have a lot of experience, Wilbert, and you have worked with executives. In fact, I had coached her. She's a group CEO. She had come to me for coaching before, so she knew what I could do. Then she decided, come and help me in my company. So, and then apparently, one of the guys who was working in that particular department, which had a problem, had beaten up a client. Okay. This was the climax of it. He had a problem of short temper. And it's something that the top executive had actually tried to address, but it was not working. So one day, a client came into the office and then made this guy go mad. And this guy punches the client, and the client reports to the police. Not only that, so that temper problem was also causing a problem within the division where he was working. So I say, okay, no problem, I will come. So I went there for my first meeting, and everybody was very tense. This outsider who is coming here, what is he going to do? Who is he going to support? Of course, using different tools and techniques and my experience, I managed to take about 50 minutes. I was talking about something that has nothing to do with the problem that they had in their department. I was talking about winning teams and stuff like that, giving examples of football and stuff like that. And then I was giving them activities and I put them in pairs to discuss, including the boy who had a temper who was causing problems. So the last 10 minutes of that first session, that's when I then asked them and I said, guys, do you have any problem in your department? And each one started mentioning, there is a problem. This guy does this one does this one. And everybody was against that board. So needless to say, I had to hold 3 more sessions after the first day. And the problem in that department was solved. Now, let me come to the 7 R's. So if we are to apply the 7 R's to that situation, it means we can say, who raised the change? Who raised the change? We could say the supervisor of that department who spoke to the CEO raised the change. Another person might argue that no, not necessarily the supervisor. It's actually the CEO who decided that we want to bring a change. So the CEO raised the change. So that's number 1 R. The second R, which is reason. So what was the reason for the CEO to decide to bring a change by engaging a consultant from outside. Then we can move on to say, okay, fine. The third thing is the return. What is the return? After we have brought the consultant, remember this comes with a cost.
Yeah.
He will come here, he will do the conflict resolution, whether it works or it doesn't work, this guy has to be paid. What is the return? Okay, most likely, if this thing works, then this guy's short temper can be worked upon. We will then from here take him also for coaching. All right, so the guy was also brought to me for coaching after the conflict resolution with the other team members. What is the return? If this guy becomes, more emotionally intelligent, and then there is tranquility in the department where he's working, everybody now respects each other, it means the company can offer a better service to our clients, which means no more drama of a client being beaten by one of our officers. And we can reduce problems like being reported to the police and so on and so on and so on. That's our number 3, return. Number 4, what are the risks? What are the dangers of us trying to bring this change, whereby we are bringing a consultant and we are trying to solve the problem in the department? Well, yeah, risks can be there. What if a fight will erupt in the department as the consultant is actually trying to solve things? They could get worse. Yeah, there are times when, conflict resolution, I do it, but it's not something that I say is my major service because it's risky. When you are trying to, remove conflict, even you, the officer or the consultant, you are actually at risk also. So what are the risks? And then of course, number 5, what are the resources that are needed? Obviously, we need an office or a boardroom where the consultant will come and talk with the rest of the team. Or probably we also need to supply some water for the people to be drinking. Okay, maybe there are some things that the consultant will ask the CEO to say, can you provide us with this and this and this and this so that we can have, a bit of fellowship as a department, to try and bring unity. Oh, okay, by the way, we also need financial resources because we need to pay the consultant for coming to do conflict resolution. And we also need to pay the coach. In that case, it means I was paid as a consultant, but at the same time, that young man had to be brought to me for coaching for about 6 months. So that 6 months of coaching has to be paid for. So those are some of the resources. So you can see if the CEO just said, we are going to do this, and she has not thought through and carefully of all those things, she will realize that now we are spending quite some money, which was not planned for. All right, so that was number 5, R. Number 6, we are saying responsible. Who is responsible? Obviously, the consultant and the coach at the same time will be responsible, but we want someone who is responsible in the organization to make sure that the conflict resolution sessions are taking place and everything is going well, reports are being made to the CEO, right? And making sure that after the conflict resolution, then there is the arrangement for this guy with short temper to be taken to the coach and to monitor how the coaching sessions are going and whether he's attending those sessions, who is responsible. And then finally, number 7, we are saying, what is the relationship between this particular change and other changes that have taken place in the past? I hope that example holistically tries to explain how the 7 R's can be applied, whether it's at executive level or it's at middle level or it's at lower level or even at home. You need to look at all the 7 R's to be able to apply them.
Yeah, very good, excellent. What I see from your example is that the first stage of any change management is actually realizing the need for it. Because if this person was not coached by you, maybe they would fail to recognize that anything could be done for the situation and just simply demanded the team to behave and start with punishment. We can see that right now. In generally, sanctioning is super popular. And we can see in your example how not sanctioning, but coaching, how conflict resolution, change management was actually a situation where somebody would say, I'm just going to fire this team because they're useless. Okay. You were actually with this corporation, the company actually managed to, in my opinion, build a really good team because they showed respect, they showed loyalty towards the team, and they showed that they cared. Even this guy was not fired. How many companies would have fired this person immediately and just turned their backs on them? You know, but what they got probably was now an excellent employee who would be loyal to forever. So I think that what I learned from your example is that change management builds team spirit and loyalty also in company when it's done properly.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And you have put it so well, Vesna. One of the things that people don't realize, I mean, as a follow-up to what you just said, you have just reminded me one of the problems that many executives go through. That's why it's important for people to learn emotional intelligence.
Mm.
It's one thing to have, you know, IQ, but everybody needs EQ. Because there are quite a number of organizations that are dragged to the courts because they fired certain people without thinking through. They decide, look, so-and-so must leave. They must go. They are not performing. Okay. Now, what they don't realize is that the law will then ask a number of questions. So this person was not performing. What did you do as leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Can you show us the file? Not just a file for warnings, but we want to know what you did because this is your employee. What did you do to improve their circumstances and their potentials? Did you take them for training? No. Did you coach them? No. Did you put them under a mentor? No. Okay. So you were expecting magic. So sometimes you realize that the industrial court, or if it goes further, it would go to the high court or whatever, depending on the intensity of the case and which country you are in, right? You will find that the judge or the magistrate can actually end up saying, all right, so this person was dismissed unlawfully. So for the past 2 years that they have not been working, the judgment is such that this person must be reinstated into their position. But the company must pay all the salaries that they were supposed to pay for the past 2 years. Imagine the embarrassment. Sometimes there are added costs to those salaries. You have inconvenienced this person simply because one executive somewhere acted without using emotional intelligence and they did not follow the protocols of change management. So you end up costing yourself. You have to pay millions because of what you have done. And not only that, even when you let an employee go and then you hire another one to replace this one without properly having gone through the 7R's of change management, you can be in trouble. I'll give you a simple example. One of my mentors, he hired somebody as an accountant. He says this is one of the lessons that he would never, ever forget. He hired this lady who was an accountant. And because my mentor was traveling too much, he did not properly see that this accountant was not very organized. I think it can be very disappointing, Vesna, you are a businesswoman. It can be very disappointing to realize that your accountant is not organized.
Yes.
Because if they are not organized, what will happen to your finances? So this accountant was not organized at all. And then one day, my mentor was coming from a trip and he realized that all the accounts were in shambles. Out of anger, he said, you are out of this company. I cannot have an accountant like you. Never. My company stands for excellence. You are out. And this woman was sent packing. All right? After that happened, a day, the second day, the third day, my mentor started realizing that there was a lot of stress among the employees. His employees were always smiling, they were always laughing, they were always doing their work, enjoying their work. But after that woman was fired, the joy had departed. So he later realized that this woman may not have been the best accountant, but she was a great cheerleader.
Wow.
She was playing a major role to make sure the team was always excited, the team was always optimistic, the team was always energized. So the day she left with her happiness. So my mentor says the lesson that he learned from there, that he wants every other executive to learn, is that before you fire anybody, before you promote anybody, before you demote anybody, before you make any major changes, do your thorough research. Because he says, if I had known before firing her, I would have just changed her position. I would have maybe taken somebody else, maybe the junior accountant. I promote the junior accountant to be the senior accountant. And this lady, I will give her another position, maybe PR position or something, so that she can still be within the organization and the morale will still be there in the organization. But he was now crying over spilled milk.
Yeah, that's a very good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it makes us all think about, sometimes I think what you said very good is that emotional intelligence is super important, because sometimes we act impulsively, you know, and when you're making business decisions of this type, impulsivity is not always advisable. I mean, you can come with impulsive idea, but then you need to reevaluate this if this actually makes sense for your organization. I think that a lot of people, maybe they have a sore spot, maybe they have somebody they want to fire, maybe they just want to get rid of them, or maybe they want somebody they want to hire. And we get blindsided on both sides, and then we pay the consequences, like you said your mentor did.
Definitely so. So anything that we do without thinking carefully, without being thoughtful about it, we are bound to make mistakes. So it is very important. Any change you want to make, whether as an individual or as a corporation, it's important for you to think, how is this going to impact us? What will it cost? What are the risks? What is the return? And so on and so on.
Excellent. Now, I have a couple of more questions for you, because yes. I don't know how much time we still have.
I think 14 minutes or so will do.
Okay, great. So I see that change management is becoming a real career angle for many people. You know, so I've seen on the internet, there are organizations, there are companies that were certified managers in change management. This is becoming, different trends of change management are occurring. You know, so at the same time, this new career is coming up, at the same time that we are being reminded that change management is something that is very difficult to quantify. So how much is somebody worth when they come into the organization and they help the CEO reach the goal of transitioning of the company, you know? What can you tell maybe to other people who are either company owners, why should they hire somebody to help them with restructuring maybe their organizations, or helping them achieve new markets, or maybe switching to new technologies, you know? And also maybe even to people who are now losing their jobs because they simply don't exist anymore, but they may be qualified to be coaches or to be managers. You know, how do you see this change management in the future? Potential.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vesna. Change management is becoming very big because, remember I said 50 to 80% of projects fail. 50 to 90% of startups fail within the first 5 years. 50 to 70 new executives fail within the first 18 months. So those statistics show us that change is a big thing. Now, you said I should answer to say, why should an organization bring in someone to assist them with change? Number one, it's difficult to bring change when you are using the same people who probably brought the problems. That's the first thing. Some of the problems you have in the organization were actually brought by some of the people in the organization. And then you say, guys, now we want to change. And who are you talking to? The same people. Okay, in some cases, they are not the ones who caused the problem. But because they've been in the organization for the longest time, they know their culture. They know the way things are done here. And for you to say, guys, let's change, it's very difficult. It takes bringing in somebody who has a new perspective. Somebody who views your organization, who can, it's only another person who can tell you whether you are looking beautiful or not. It's another person who can say, hey, your hair, you think you need to do A, B, C, D. But you have been on the, is it at the mirror or on the mirror? Huh? You have been looking yourself in the mirror. And you saw yourself very well, but then you hear your friend saying, look, you need to change this and you need to change this. Sometimes it takes another person. That's where even executive coaching comes in. An executive coach is like a friend who is seeing things differently, who can ask you questions that cause you to think differently. Consultants, it's not all executive coaches that are efficient anyway. That's why it's important for you to choose properly. And even consultants come in different qualities as well. But there are some good consultants that can do an excellent job and bring proper transformation to your organization. Why? Because they are coming from outside. Remember, they also bring in experience. They bring in experience, they bring in expertise, they have the skills, they have the capabilities, and they have a network of other people that could support you for you to succeed. So whether you are doing restructuring, imagine when you are doing restructuring and it's being handled probably by HR in your organization, what are the chances that this thing will be done transparently? What are the chances that there will be fairness? Or maybe some people, I'm not saying it happens in every organization, but chances are there that some people who are highly connected in the organization may remain, not because they are good to the organization, but because they are connected. But when you have an outsider, even your people, when they are being interviewed or they are filling in questionnaires that are being administered by a certain consultant or a certain person from outside, they can be open enough. Imagine the CEO circulating questionnaires to say, tell us what we are doing right and what we are not doing right. How many people are bold enough? Or you go around with a microphone asking everybody, Wilbert, what do you think of me? Are you still happy to be here? Vesna, what do you... Nobody will respond. Everybody will say, oh, you are the best thing that ever happened. In fact, you are an angel. I think one of the, having worked with executives for over a decade now, one of the things that I've realized is that when you are at the top, one of your major disadvantages is that people don't tell you the truth.
I can see
Not
that.
many employees, even those who report directly to you. If you are an MD, then you have other directors reporting to you. Even if you ask them with a good heart that, guys, I want to improve. Where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? They will not be bold enough because there is a thin line between saying the truth and actually losing your job.
Yeah.
But if it is an outsider and somebody knows that this is being done by an outsider, they can be more open-minded. They can be free to say, we think this should be changed, this should be changed, this should be changed. So many times as a leader, people flatter you. They don't tell you the truth. It's just like a father or mother in the home. It's not every parent who can sit down with their children and say, my children, we want to improve things in this home. Can you tell me, am I a good father or am I a bad father? Am I a good mother or am I a bad mother? It's difficult. The children will say, Mama, you are the best thing that ever happened. They will flatter you. They are afraid of you. It's only somebody from outside who can be able to tell you to your face, I think you need to change. Change this, change this, change this, change this. They have nothing to lose. They are an outsider. They don't lose any job. And they are being a professional. They know even if they won't get another contract from you, but they feel satisfied that they were ethical. They did what they were hired to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course we need to know what is our objective. So the goal has to be specific. So when we are hiring somebody to do the change management, this person must know exactly what kind of change they need to facilitate, you know? Because when we have a company, we have the shareholders, we have the board, we have the CEOs, and then we have the employees. And it looks like this consultant, this person will be the glue, let's say, or the lubricant, or the you know, the blood in this organization that will make everything run together, you know? So
Right.
I found some examples of expressions connected to change manager, which would be consultant, coach, facilitator, advocate, change leader. All these expressions basically mean the person who will come in and help the organization grow, right?
Yes.
So how do you see, which one of these are you all of them, or how do you identify yourself in this change management structure?
Depending on what a company has asked me to do, the titles can change here and there. But what matters most is to understand the mandate. What is it exactly that I'm being asked to do? For example, if there is a new executive who is struggling with presentation skills, right? And then I'm told that, okay, we have this new executive, they are struggling with presentation skills. It may not be one person, it could be a group of them. They are struggling with presentation skills. Maybe they are good at offline presentation skills, but they are not yet good with online presentation skills, all right? And then I come in, so it means I'm actually coaching them on presentation skills, and that can be very short term. But if there are other issues, underlying issues, I may not come exactly as a coach, but I come in as a trainer, right? Or probably I come in as a consultant. So it just depends. But with coaching, obviously, you are talking of something that can be ongoing. You know, it can be 6 months, it can be 1 year, especially with executive coaching. It's for leaders. And most of the time, there are quite a number of issues that you want to bring in to bring changes to this executive in terms of their personal development, in terms of their professional development, in terms of them actually being able to manage others and lead others in the organization, in terms of them being able to coin a vision and being able to come up with a strategy and cascading that strategy to the rest of the employees. And then how do you build winning teams, dealing with conflicts in the workplace? And remember, an executive must also be a coach. You don't just rely on outside coaches. Your executives must also be able to coach and mentor the younger ones to them. They are juniors. So all those things can be learned in executive coaching so that somebody grows. So it takes a bit of time. It can take up to a year. It can take more than that, depending on where somebody has started off.
Excellent. So what kind of person is a change manager? So if I have a company that I know that needs, I need to have an outside consultant, for what kind of person I should be looking for. What kind of qualities, what kind of skill sets should a person possess? What should I be on the lookout? Like when I look at the resume or the CV, who should I hire?
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that's a very, very good question. So a change manager must have good interpersonal skills.
Okay.
That's one of the major things. How good are they at dealing with people? If they don't have good interpersonal skills, then it means there are high chances that there will be a lot of friction when they are working with your team, even when they are working with you. And also, you won't have an added benefit of you being able to get connected by that coach or consultant with other people in the industry. So interpersonal skills is one of them. And I think to a certain extent that is linked to emotional intelligence as well. And then another very important thing is, how competent are they in their work? Do they have references? Who else have they coached? Where else have they consulted? Because if they have never done some work, it's just like when you go online and you want to purchase a course or you want to purchase something. Usually we look for reviews and ratings. We are not saying it's perfect, but it gives you some sense of, are there other people who are happy with what this person is doing? So there are quite a number of things. There are competencies, there are references, there are interpersonal skills, there are emotional intelligence, and so on.
Okay, great. Thank you so very much. Dr. Mutoko, I think this has been amazing, really, so far. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience as well.
Vesna.
Yeah?
Vesna, I think I left out something.
Yeah, I was just going to say if you wanted to add something, yes.
Yes, I left out something very important. Yes, for someone to become a change manager in your organization, you also need to look at their qualifications. What are their qualifications? And which associations do they belong to?
Ah, okay.
Right? Which associations do they belong to? Because if somebody belongs, let's say for instance, you are bringing in a project manager to help in your organization. You are running maybe, let's say, a construction project, and you are bringing in somebody who is a renowned project manager from outside. Which association do they belong to? What are their qualifications? What is their track record? If they mess up, you can report them to the association. So they already know. But if it's somebody who doesn't belong to any association, it means when you have a problem, you have to look for them. And in any case, I don't know why, and I think this is very important. I don't know why people just assume that when it comes to coaching, anybody can be a coach. When it comes to consultancy, anybody can be a consultant. Vesna, would you board a plane after the pilot honestly tells you that I was born a pilot? I didn't go to any pilot school, and I don't belong to any association, but I'm highly talented. In fact, I'm just naturally talented.
And I have no fear of that. And I have no fear of dying.
Yeah.
I said he would have to add that
your desire for flying will end right there. You will just get down the plane, you say goodbye. Right? Why? We want a pilot who is well-trained. I'm not going to endanger my life. I'm not going to endanger my organization with somebody who does not know what they are doing. But many times, because people want cheap things, they will go for people who do not belong to any association. They go to people who have no qualifications in what they do whatsoever. Even when it comes to employing people, there are organizations that hire people who do not have proper qualifications. so that they can pay them less. But then they expect these people to operate at a global level. Wow.
Yeah. I think you've just touched on very, very important subject, which is one of your R's, actually, you know, your resources or your cost of the change management.
Yes.
So how important it is for us to, what are the pros and cons? So how much it will cost us to have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing leading the change management into our organization. So a lot of times we say the cheap is expensive. And yeah, so
and you know, just agreeing with you there, Vesna, this is very serious, you know. Many government departments and many enterprises, when they are looking for someone to do something for them, maybe it's a consultant or a contractor or whatever, they actually have policies which say we choose the cheapest quotation. I know that from an accounting perspective, that looks very smart. But the lowest quotation does not always mean, I mean, it has nothing to do with quality. You are trying to save, but sometimes you save the cents and you lose the dollars.
Can I make a comment here? There's a sci-fi movie from, I think, 20 years ago. So these are these guys who have to save the world, right? They're sitting in a rocket and they're about to be exploded into the universe, you know, from the earth. And the comment is, do you realize we are sitting on, I think, 20 tons of combustible put together by the lowest bidder. So put together by the cheapest manufacturer. So I think that sometimes, maybe sometimes we are also running businesses like that. You know, we expect, like you said, top performance for the lowest possible dollar. And then we are surprised because things don't work out as perfectly as we have imagined them. But I think that is also a topic of assessment, of project planning, and all of these things that just need to be taken in consideration, and probably a lot of teamwork when it comes to organizational function, you know, functional organizations and team building. But I think what we've learned today is that the person who does change management is a very important factor, a facilitator of growth and transition in a company, and not somebody to be taken lightly and hired because, you know, because they could help you out a couple of hours a week. Like, so if you're hiring or if you're offering yourself for professional consultancy, this is something that needs to be taken extremely seriously, and also, you know, has to be well built and presented, I believe.
Thank you so much. I think you have said it so well. So you see, apart from government departments, I'm not, you know, I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm just questioning. You want to pay less, but what about the quality? What if the highest quotation is the highest because of what? Of the quality they are bringing. And then another thing I've realized is that with large enterprises, generally, they tend to know the importance of taking their executives for coaching, of training their people, of mentoring their people, of bringing in experts and doing in-house trainings. They understand that. But the problem is with small and micro enterprises. Sometimes it's understandable because the money is not yet there. But that little you have, you need to prioritize the important things. We said 50 to 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. So imagine you are starting a business and you don't know much in that area. Why wouldn't you spend part of the money and invest in your growth by hiring an expert who will help you? Large enterprises, yes, they already have the money. They have become large because they knew how to prioritize. So you prioritize to become large. It's very important because I've seen many people who say, I want to do this. Do you know, Vesna, that there are people who can say, Dr. Mutoko, I have 2 million that I want to invest in property. And I just want you to give me some ideas on how I can invest in property. And I'll say, that's fine, I can help you with that. What is your budget? Oh, you want to charge me? So you have 2 million that you want to invest. You don't know how you are going to invest. And I can help you on how you can invest. And I can connect you with the right lawyers and the other professionals in the industry. But you are not willing. You want someone to do it for free so that you can invest the 2 million. That's why people will then lose that 2 million. The same applies. If I decide that I want to move from Africa and I want to come to Spain, where you are, Vesna, it will be wise for me to find a professional who is in Spain to help me. What do I need to do when I'm relocating to Spain? How do I start and run a successful business in Spain? I pay them and then they reserve time for me so that they help me properly. In some cases, it's important for me to even do research, and it may be difficult for me to do research while I'm here in Africa. I can ask a professional in Spain there to do the research for me. But people can surprise you. So this issue of trying to save the cents and then you lose the dollars is a big one. I just wanted to read from YouTube, Vesna. We have Prayer. Prayer says here from Gaborone. And we have Bevan. Bevan says, I'm watching from Johannesburg, enjoying the show.
Welcome. And, thank you so much for watching.
Yes, thank you so much, Prayer. Thank you, Bevan. The others have not written their names. We would also be happy to know their names and whether they are enjoying the show. Thank you so much.
Wow, yes. Yeah, I mean, this is always the quality, performance, investment, input, output. I mean, this is what we are always encountering, even in the small business. But I think that at any rate, what I'm seeing here is that education and training is essential. Education, training. So whether it's education of personal growth, which is super important in any organization, or it's professional education, I can be better at my skills, or it's leadership training or coaching. So in this time of change, would you agree, Dr. Wilbert, that investing in ourselves is probably where our greatest resources would lie? So if we are a small company, it's going to be me. And if I'm a larger company, it's definitely going to be my employees.
I definitely agree with you. Because remember, when we said you have subsystems in your business, whatever you are doing, you have the people, you have the equipment, you have the technology, you could have other things above those. That equipment, for it to function properly, you need people who have the right skills and the right attitude. For the technology to function properly, you need the right people with the right skills, the right experience, the right qualifications, and the right attitude. So the people factor for me stands out. Sometimes as business people, you know, many people will assume that employees are a cost. Because from an accounting perspective, they see employees in the income statement under expenses, wages and salaries. But they forget that this is actually human capital, which can be very useful to your organization. So if we value our people, if we value our teams, if we value our executives as well, because if you are a junior and you don't value your executives, then the future of the company is not safe. If as an employee, you get excited that your executive is taking the wrong direction and you don't find a way to talk to them, then your wisdom is to be questioned, because as the company goes into the ditch, you will follow there. But you saw it coming. You could have at least tried, even if it means praying, even if it means trying to see the executive on their own, even if it means talking to somebody who the executive believes in, so that someone can go and talk to the executive to try and make a difference. I don't believe that if you are working in an organization, you can see that things are going wrong. In fact, today's employees must see themselves as partners in an organization. If you work in organization XYZ, if you work in the government, don't see yourself as an employee. See yourself as a partner. A partner will not see things going wrong and keep quiet. A partner will not see people stealing the assets of the organization and keep quiet. So if we are going to see our organizations rise and become great, we need people who are committed to supporting the executives. And we also need executives who are willing to support their team members. I have heard of circumstances where employees were told by their employer, you are running a startup and things are not working. And the owner of the startup says to his employees, you know what, guys, goodbye. This company is failing. And some of the most loyal employees will say, we are not going anywhere. We are with you until this thing works. What will you be eating with your families? We don't know, we shall see. But we are going to help you. Even if it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, we will find a way. This company must work. What do you think causes that? It means this owner of the company, this executive, has shown some level of respect for the employees during good times. Now, during bad times, some employees still say, no, this thing cannot be said to have failed. We are with you. Let's continue. Obviously, you will have some people who are difficult. You will have some people who don't care. You will have some people who do not want to support you. It's life. But especially in a crisis, you need to surround yourself with people who see themselves as partners, people who are not just there for the money only, but who are there to make sure things happen.
Yeah. That is probably another topic of what would you call that? We had the course at university called organizational management, and it was a lot to do with how to create a growing environment, how to create harmony in the company, how to different ways of how people feel rewarded, appreciated, respected, because people have different value systems. To some, they have great value in money, and some they value their time. Some value, vacation and the company, and so all these different values are something that companies should probably also look into. Now, not everybody wants a raise. Some people maybe want to spend more time with their family, or a different position or whatever else.
I think you have said it so well. I think one of the most important things that leaders or change managers need to notice is that if you want change to be successful, the first thing is you must communicate effectively to your team why the change must be done. You see, it's going back to the 7R's, the reason.
Yeah.
Why should the change be there? So in the process of trying to change, keep reminding the people the reason why change must take place. Yeah. And then the second thing is you must have effective communication. When there is a shortage of information, people begin to suspect you. Why are you now so quiet? Like right now, we are in COVID-19 crisis. There are some executives that never talk to their teams. Employees begin to speculate. Why are they so quiet? What are they organizing? Maybe they want us to get fired. All those kinds of things. Keep in touch with your people So you tell the people the reason, you keep in touch with your people, you empower them, train them, retrain them, coach them, mentor them, support them, keep them informed. Those are some of the things that will cause the change that you want to take place to be successful. And of course, where possible, involve your team in the decision making. Where possible, involve them in decision making.
Excellent. Great. Dr. Mutoko, so to sum up, what would you say are the different levels in which we should be applying change management? Probably personal. Yeah, so personal level as myself in the company, personal level maybe of a small business owner, and then also probably in different levels structurally in a bigger company. What kind of advice can you give to all of us, regardless of where we are situated? You know, how can we better get through these times? How can we better take advantage of the knowledge you have just presented to us tonight?
Thank you so much, Vesna. So what I can say is the first thing I need to remind you that change is inevitable. Change will always be needed. You can choose whether you want to adapt to change or you actually initiate change. Otherwise, you will go under. Change will always be there. The same way that we have seasons. Yeah, you have summer, you have winter. In some places, they have summer, winter, autumn, and spring. It's not like you like all the seasons. Some people are happy with winter when it's very cold, but some people hate winter. They prefer summer, and you will never agree. But whether I like winter or not, when winter comes, I must have warm clothes. It's either I adapt or cold will kill me. So change will always come. You either adapt or you actually initiate change yourself, or else you go under, you'll be forgotten. As individuals, we need to go through change. We need to anticipate change. Mm-hmm. Like right now, we are going through crisis. This is the time to develop yourself like never before. Learn something new every day. Learn about networking. Learn about how to use technology. Learn about how to make money online. Learn about new things. Be willing to grow as an individual, right? Don't just grow up physically, but grow up mentally, grow up emotionally, grow up psychologically, grow up spiritually. Spend money, spend resources. One of the 7R's is resources. Spend some resources on yourself. In fact, personal development is the most important investment anybody can ever do. Whether you are not working, whether you are a student, whether you are a husband, you are a father, you are what? You are an executive. Everybody must do personal development. And in some cases, it doesn't even cost you anything. I mean, you go online right now. There are people who give their PDF books for free. I have done that a number of times. I actually have a book that I'm giving for free on my website, wilbertmutoko.com. I give a book for free there called Financial Freedom. It's your 10 for financial success. So for someone to say, I don't have money, that's why I'm not doing personal development, I don't agree with you. Everybody, you can buy books, you can get free books, you can watch good videos, you can watch interviews like this one. Empower yourself. Empower yourself. And then remember, whether you are an entrepreneur or you are an employee, if you don't invest in yourself, how will you invest in the organization? You are your most important asset. Your mind is your most important asset. There is no change that will take place without change of thinking and change of behavior. There is no other change that will take place in your life or in your organization without you working on your mind and on your actions, your behavior. So all of us must be working very hard to make sure we are changing for the better.
Excellent, Dr. Mutoko. Thank you so much. I believe that probably a lot of people are now thinking, wow, I would really like to take advantage of what Dr. Mutoko knows and his knowledge, or maybe they're in a tough spot in the corporation, the company, maybe they need you. So can you tell us a little bit how people can get in touch with you? Maybe they can hire your services, or maybe you have some free videos. I believe you have a YouTube channel where you give free advice. I know you have a channel where you give free advice on even university, on PhDs, on research. So can you tell us a little bit where we can get in touch with you and benefit some more from your knowledge and expertise?
Thank you very much, Vesna. I am on Instagram. They can DM me there. They can also follow me on YouTube. I've got more than 650 videos that teach on different things. We have interviews that we have done with different people, and we still have many more coming. So there are videos that teach on entrepreneurship, videos on emotional intelligence, videos on leadership, videos on many things actually. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it's called Dr. Wilbert R. Mutoko, Dr. Wilbert R. Mutoko. If you go there, you are going to enjoy yourself. We have different categories of videos there for you to learn. And if you want to talk to me, you can also email me, wilbert@wilbertmutoko.com, wilbert@wilbertmutoko.com, or the easier one is wilbertmutoko@gmail.com, wilbertmutoko@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Excellent. Do we have any more questions from YouTube? I haven't really seen. Before we say goodbye for the night, any more comments? I think you were looking, right?
Yes, thank you so much, our friends and family watching on YouTube. Do you have any questions for us or any comments? We would really appreciate to hear from you. We are so grateful to have you. You took from your busy schedules to watch this interview and to be with us, and we highly honor you for that. If you have any questions, kindly type in the chat box. We'll be glad to respond to the best of our knowledge. In the meantime, Vesna, while we are waiting for any comments or questions from YouTube, I want to appreciate you for this interview. I want to thank you. I have known you for some time now. You are an amazing woman. Oh. You are an amazing woman. You are a very caring woman. You are a family woman. You are a businesswoman. You have a big heart for people. And I would like to encourage people to follow you also on YouTube. I think it would be nice for you to tell people where they can find you if they want to have further conversations. I know you are passionate about the issues of health and things like that. It would be great for people to hear a bit more about you. You are such an amazing person.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr. Mutoko. And I really enjoy this friendship that we have with you and your family. You as a mentor have made a huge change in my life, in my family's life, and I really want to appreciate you for that. And I want to encourage also our viewers not to be shy, because they will never know what benefits and how their life can change even by very little contact with you, because you never know when the change comes, but the change always comes when it's most necessary. And like you said, we just should not resist it and go with it. Yeah, I have a business. It's called Vesna Beauty Clinic. And I have a channel on YouTube where I talk about health, skincare, things like that. And then I'm also developing another YouTube channel, which is Vesna Pelikan, where I'm putting also videos like this, interviews, things like that. So, and if somebody wants to speak with me, I'm available at my company email, which is info@vesnabeautyclinic.com. So anything can come there, really, any beauty questions or questions regarding Spain or things like that. Thank you so much for your question, Dr. Mutoko.
Thank you so much, Vesna. As we round up, you know, when you were saying thank you for being a mentor, the fact that I've been a mentor to you and your family, it got me thinking that some people limit themselves because they think that somebody from their village is the one who is going to help them. So you can imagine you are in Spain right now and I'm in Africa. You are in Europe and I'm in Africa. And here we are doing this interview, not just doing the interview, but you are my mentee, not just a mentee, but what is the right word I can use? You are a distinguished, I'm not trying to flatter you, but you are a distinguished mentee. I've seen you over the years, amazing loyalty, amazing followership, genuine connection. And if I was that kind of person, or if you were that kind of person who feels that, you know what, I'll be helped by people like myself, you could actually be divided probably by racism, or probably by region, or probably by, you know, people limit themselves by things that they are not supposed to limit themselves. So we must open up our minds. Sometimes your business can be going through hell, and there's somebody who can help you, but doesn't come from your village or doesn't come from your country. You must be willing to be open-minded. Even when it comes to education, when we were going through school, did we choose, I want a teacher who comes from this place or that place? All we wanted was a good teacher. So I just thought I need to mention that. As you want to change in your life and as you want to change your organization, sometimes you need to be more open-minded and be willing to get help from anybody who qualifies to give you help, regardless of where they are. Like right now, we are in a global village. I coach and mentor people across the world, different continents. Vesna, while you are seated in Spain, you will be having people that you are ministering to, people that you are touching across the globe. But I find it sometimes, I find many people limiting themselves because they feel that, you know what, this is my area. So I think that's too much limiting. I don't want to limit myself. I want to be able to touch anybody all over the world. I want to be able to be mentored or coached by anybody all over the world as long as they are good enough. Otherwise, thank you once again, Vesna, for the interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mutoko. It's been amazing spending time with you, and I'm sure our audience feels exactly the same way. Thank you so much for preparing this. It was a completely new topic for me. I've learned a great deal. And I thank you. I definitely have taken a lot of good inputs. A lot of it's got me thinking about some of the mistakes I'm doing myself. And I also believe that our audience is now reflecting on different things they can do to make the changes necessary to better their lives, their circumstances, and of course, their future. Thank you so much again, and may you have a great night and the rest of the week. Thank you so much, and goodbye to everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.